What would you do if your best friend went missing in the mountains for a week, only to return completely unharmed, but fundamentally wrong? The Summer Hikaru Died isn't just another generic supernatural thriller. It is a suffocating, visceral masterclass in cosmic horror that asks the terrifying question, is it better to grieve a dead friend or to let a monster wear his skin? Let's uncover the darkest hidden facts of this psychological nightmare. Set in a sweltering, isolated, rural Japanese village, the story revolves around two lifelong best friends, Yoshiki and Everything changes after Hikaru vanishes in the local mountains for several days. When he finally returns, he looks, sounds, and acts just like Hikaru, but Yoshiki immediately realizes the horrifying truth. The thing standing in front of him is a cosmic eldritch entity that has perfectly consumed and mimicked his best friend. Instead of rejecting it, Yoshiki makes a chilling choice. He decides to keep the monster a secret, pretending everything is completely normal just so he doesn't have to face life without Hikaru. The sheer dread in this series stems from its subtle visual storytelling. When animating the entity, the studio brilliantly uses unnatural body horror hidden in plain sight. A casually twisted joint, a sudden void-like gaze, or a smile that stretches just a millimeter too wide perfectly captures the uncanny valley. It is an eldritch abomination wearing a human suit, contrasting violently with the hyper-realistic, nostalgic rural backgrounds. The true horror isn't jump scares. It is the agonizing psychological tension of grief. Yoshiki is trapped in a deeply toxic, codependent relationship with the very thing that murdered his best friend. The narrative masterfully weaponizes human loneliness. Yoshiki's terrifying willingness to accept a cosmic horror over the painful reality of death is a devastating exploration of trauma that completely breaks traditional shonen boundaries. Beneath the surface, the story is heavily embedded with esoteric Japanese folklore, the village's rituals, the oppressive cicada sounds, and the local superstitions about mountain gods are not just flavor texts. They are brilliant, hidden hints pointing to the entity's true, ancient origin. By blending local Shinto horror with Lovecraftian cosmic dread, this series aggressively redefines the modern anime psychological horror genre. If you dig into the hardcore discussion threads on Reddit or anime or my anime list, the fandom is absolutely obsessed. The community universally praises the story for bringing genuine, suffocating dread back to the anime media, a genre that usually relies on cheap gore or predictable shock value to get a reaction. However, the underlying toxic romance elements do spark massive debates on Twitter. A vocal portion of the fan base is heavily divided on whether the deeply intimate dynamic between Yoshi and the entity is a brilliant, tragic metaphor for grief or just deeply disturbing. Regardless, the consensus is clear. It is a haunting, atmospheric masterpiece that you simply cannot look away from. Loving you so wrong, but I can't hide it. The Summer Hikaru Died is a revolutionary step forward for psychological horror. It brilliantly uses the aesthetic of a nostalgic, rural summer to mask a terrifying, deeply emotional descent into madness and isolation. If you are craving a story that prioritizes atmospheric dread and complex trauma over cheap scares, this is an absolute must-watch. But I will leave you with this final, mind-bending thought to keep you awake tonight. If a monster has your best friend's memories, his exact voice, his face, and genuinely loves you just like he did, at what point does the monster actually just become him? Thanks for watching, and stay out of the woods.